Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here, your source for gaming, tech, emulation, and open source news. Let's get started. Alright, to kick things off, we're talking about multi-system emulator Mednafen. Mednafen stands for Subscribe to Mr. Sujano, or My Emulator Doesn't Need a Frickin' Excellent Name, depending on how you want to interpret that. And Mednafen just got a brand new update. This is the first main update since August of 2022, and we've got a number of bug fixes, optimizations, and some brand new features. They've restored Windows 2000 compatibility, they've added in support for Apple IIe and Enhanced IIe. We talked about this one the other day for PCSX2, and now Mednafen has also added support for Konami's Poppin' Music controller. We've got some Sega Saturn improvements and even more. Mednafen is 100% free, it's open source, and I'll drop a link to it in the description below. Next up, we're talking about the Nintendo Switch Flash cart, the MIG Switch. And pre-orders have started popping up online. It's priced at about $65. However, there is a bit of a caveat. Their game dumper isn't ready. And in order for the MIG Switch cart to actually work, it needs 5 different files. It needs the game card image, the game card initial data, the certificate, the card ID set, and the card UID. And the MIG Switch website now says, MIG Switch is a backup and development device. As such, we only support and guarantee your gaming with your own game backups. This applies to online too. If you want to play online with a full MIG Switch warranty, you need to use your own dumped backups with genuine certificate, UID, and card set ID. Failure to respect this rule might end up in bans from Nintendo Online Service, which we won't be held responsible for. So as it stands right now, as far as I understand, the MIG Switch team is requiring you to dump your own games, and since their game dumper isn't ready, it'll have to be done through a hacked Nintendo Switch. And when their game dumper is ready, it appears it's going to be sold separately, and again, no word on whether or not a hack switch is required. Now, someone may ask the hypothetical question, what if someone simply downloaded a Switch game off the internet and slapped it on the MIG Switch cart? And the hypothetical answer would be, well, if they connected to Nintendo services, chances are they'd be pretty quickly banned. There is virtually no chance that a downloaded Switch game from online would have a unique ID. And there would be a bunch of people trying to use that ID at the same time, basically anyone who downloaded that file, and that ID might already be on Nintendo's radar. So yeah, they're probably looking out for it. However, on the flip side to that hypothetical answer, if someone were to download the Switch game off the internet, slap it on a MIG Switch card, and put it in a Switch that never connects to the internet, not under any circumstances, well, then it may work. And for further clarification, not that we even need to, but that was a hypothetical question and hypothetical answer because obviously we don't support piracy. Moving on, and this one is a quick one, but a good one. And we talked about this one the other day when the Smash Remix YouTube channel was taken down. It appears the channel has now been restored, and appeal actually seemed to have worked. So if you wanted to see the full trailer for Smash Remix version 1.5.0, I'll drop a link to it in the description below. And for those who may not be aware, Smash Remix is an extensive ROM hacker mod of Smash Bros. 64. Next up, we're quickly talking about some emulation on Android, and if you've got a Snapdragon CPU and you play Yuzu, Vita 3K, Citra, or even Dolphin, well, some brand new drivers have just dropped. The first one here is Qualcomm driver version 744.12, which at this point in time is limited to the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3. And the second driver, which I think more people will be interested in, the Mesa Turnip driver version 24.0.0 revision 15. This one is based on the latest Mesa main source. And it also has support for the Adreno 750, which is the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 GPU. Additional performance is sometimes expected, but not guaranteed with these new drivers. If you wanted to check them out, I'll drop a link to this in the description below. They are 100% free. Next up here, this is arguably one of the best looking C64 games that I've ever seen. And the graphics on this one are pretty minimal, but at the same time, the gameplay is incredibly fluid. And this one, if it's not familiar enough to you already, is Limbo. This was already out for Xbox and PC, and someone's porting it to the C64. Now, looking at the developer's YouTube channel, and that gameplay seems like it was from a couple of years ago. I have no idea where the project sits right now, but I'm extremely excited about it. and I'm hoping development resumes. Next up, we're quickly talking about the Glucoboy, and if you like reading and learning quite a bit of stuff, then I've got a website for you. So there's a brand new edge of emulation that's just been posted, and this one's for the Glucoboy. It's well written, there's a lot of information in here, there's a teardown, and even more. I'll drop a link to it in the description below, and I do recommend checking it out. And speaking about Game Boy, next up we're quickly talking about Game Boy Advance emulation on Android with Boy GBA Pro. And Boy GBA Pro just got a brand new update and added in a new feature. So as of version 2.7.9, they've added in support for Game Boy Player Rumble, and you can find this in your ROM settings. Interestingly enough, there's only about 7 games that utilize this feature, but if you've played any of them, let me know in the comments below. Moving on, and we're still talking about Android, and this time about an emulation front end, Beacon Game Launcher. And Beacon Game Launcher got an update a couple of weeks ago that's pretty nice. It allows you to adjust the aspect ratio of your Android box art. Moving on, and we're talking about a soft mod for the Sega Saturn, Pseudo Saturn Kai, and it just got a brand new big update. So this was 2 years in development. It's version 6.541, and it adds a new menu with cheat support for users of the Satiator optical drive emulator. There's also a new overall look and feel, and they've got a brand new save data manager. And on top of that, it improves support for some games, like Prisoner of Ice, SimCity 2000, and Valholian. And speaking about Sega, next up we're talking about Hyperkin. And Hyperkin is apparently making a brand new retro gaming handheld, one that plays physical Sega Genesis games. It's called the Mega 95. It also appears they're making a dock for this. Now I don't know the price of the dock, or the unit, or if they're included together, or the release date, or the specs, or the general quality, or even whether or not they're making their own emulator or borrowing one for this device. There's a lot of unknowns. And on top of that, it appears Hyperkin is also making a brand new controller for the Xbox. It's based on the second generation of Xbox controller, codenamed the DuchesS. This one doesn't have a price either. There will be a white and black version of it, and I don't have the release date. It is going to be wired, and as far as I know, it's also going to be USB-C. Next up, this one's pretty neat. It was a tech demo from Sony, and it's a collaboration with Honda. I think it's called Sony Honda Mobility. Anyways, I'll drop a link to this tweet in the description below, and I do recommend checking it out. They are controlling a real-life car with a gaming controller, a Dualsense controller. I don't know if they got the memo or not, but the last time a vehicle was controlled with a real-life gaming controller, things didn't go too well. But fortunately for Sony during this presentation, everything seemed to go just fine. Next up, and no surprise, I've got another quick one for you, and this time we're talking about Baldur's Gate 3 on the Xbox. If you play Baldur's Gate 3 on your Xbox and you like to save your game and you value your game saves, it appears that Microsoft may have found the root cause of the issue that causes the lost game save files. Unfortunately, I don't have word, and Larian Studios doesn't have final word to see if this fix actually works. Well, here's open. Next up, and you guessed it, another quick one. This time we're talking about PlayStation. If you've got a PS5 Slim and you like colors, and you like spending money, well, Sony's got you covered. They have just unveiled a brand new set of covers for the PS5 Slim. They're priced at about $55 each, and there's 3 colors overall. They're calling it the Deep Earth Collection, and they've got a red one, a blue one, and a silver one. And this makes me wonder if they're going to have other collections available in the future. Next, it appears that OpenXRay has been taken down from GitHub due to a dmca. OpenXRay is a game engine used for popular games like Stalker. Interestingly enough, GSC Game World Global is the owner of Stalker, and they were the ones that issued this dmca on an open source game engine. Now for clarification, this is specifically for xray 16. xray 15 is still accessible, and OpenXRay is still accessible. And interestingly enough, GSC on Twitter says that's definitely not our intent. OpenXRay is totally allowed to be used as a mod base. We are having a wave of false claims caused by our position recently. This is likely to be one of these once again. We will investigate further. In my opinion, this is one of the big problems with the copyright system. There doesn't seem to be any penalty for people making false claims. whether they intend to or not. And speaking about copyright, moving on, we've got OpenAI and ChatGPT, and they have just encountered a pretty big problem. So according to this article, in their battle against the New York Times lawsuit, they say because copyright today covers virtually every sort of human expression, including blog posts, photographs, forum posts, scraps of software code, and government documents, it would be impossible to train today's leading AI models without using copyrighted materials. To me, OpenAI's defense is very interesting. They're going the fair use route with training. They say legally, copyright law does not forbid training. I'm curious to see how this all pans out. If you've got any ideas, let me know in the comments below. And last up here, we talked about this one a while back, and I mean a couple of years back, but there's a 2.5D Paper Zelda demo, and it's still up. It's called Paper Zelda RPG, and it's currently available for Windows, Mac, and Linux. I'll drop a link to it in the description below in the event that you wanted to learn more about it. No guarantees on how long this is available for. Last up here, we're talking about a brand new game in development for the NES. It's a puzzle game. It's called Cursed Crown. The demo of the game is currently playable in your browser. I'll drop a link to it in the description below. I think the developer on this one plans to make about 40 levels overall and plans to get it working with the actual NES. But anyways, that is all I've got for you in this one. Straight to the point, all stuff and no fluff. We talked about a bunch today. Let me know your thoughts about absolutely any of it in the comments below. If you like this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button, check out my other videos. Don't tempt fate, save your state.